Okay, hello everyone. Today we're going to study a new drama. It is called Antigone by Sophocles. It is a play from the Greek mythology. Before we get started, we have to get acquainted to the characters in the play. So this is a quick tree of the characters that some of them will be in the play. Before we start with the characters, I'm going to start with the summary of the play itself so that we know what the story of the play is talking about or what the plot of the play is talking about. And then, of course, I'm going to go back to the characters and the character analysis in the play. So let's get started. Now, in the summary, the action of Antigone follows on from the Theban civil war in which two brothers, Eteocles and Polynices, died fighting each other for the throne of Thebes after Eteocles had refused to give up the crown to his brother as their father Oedipus had prescribed. Now Creon, the new ruler of Thebes, has declared that Eteocles is to be honored and Polynices is to be disgraced by leaving his body unburied on the battlefield, which was of course a harsh and shameful punishment at that time. So again, this is the main plot. This paragraph itself is the whole story of the play. It is everything. It is A to Z in the play. This is what the play happens. This is what happens in the play. I'm sorry, all the way from the beginning to the end. So again, the action of Antigone follows on from the Theban War, in which two brothers, Eteocles and Polynices, they died fighting each other for the throne, of course, of Thebes, after Eteocles had refused to give up the crown of his brother, and their father Oedipus has prescribed. So Creon, the new ruler of Thebes, declared that Eteocles is to be honored and Polynices is to be disgraced. So he's to be disgraced by leaving his body unburied on the battlefield. Yes, unburied on the battlefield. And they also brought in a soldier or a sentry to make sure that the body stays unburied on the battlefield. So, as the play begins, Antigone vows to bury her brother Polynices' body in defiance of the Creon's edict, although her sister, Esmene, refuses to help her, fearing the death penalty. So Creon, with the support of the chorus elders, of course the chorus elders are also a character, one character in the play. I'm going to explain what they are later on in the video. So Creon, with the support of the chorus elders, repeats his edict regarding the disposal of Polynices' body, but a fearful sentry enters to report that Antigone has in fact buried her brother's body. So again, guys, this is the conflict that starts to happen in the play. Now, Antigone vowed to bury her brother Polynices, and she vowed to defy the Creon's edict. And her sister Esmene refuses to help her because she fears, of course, the death penalty. So what happens later on is that of course, Creon, with the support of the chorus elders, repeats his edict regarding the disposal of Polynices' body, but a fearful sentry enters to report that Antigone has in fact buried her brother's body. So, of course, Creon gets very angry. He's furious at his willful disobedience, questions Antigone over her actions, but she does not deny what she has done and argues unflinchingly with Creon about the morality of his edict and the morality of her deeds. Despite her innocence, Ismene is also summoned and interrogated and tries to confess falsely to the crime, wishing to die alongside her sister, but Antigone insists on shouldering full responsibility. So, of course, over here, Creon again is the leader. So, Creon is very angry because Antigone disobeyed his orders and she disobeyed the edict. So, she doesn't try to deny anything that happens, but on the contrary, what she tries to do is she tries to question the morality of this edict. It's not correct to leave the body of his son, basically, Creon, his son, left unburied in the battlefield. So what she was trying to do is she was trying to convince her father that this was actually something correct to do because it is what the gods order them to do. The gods order them to bury the dead, but Creon is actually defying God's orders. So Creon's son Haman, who is betrothed to Antigone, pledges allegiance to his father's will, but then gently tries to persuade his father to spare Antigone. The two men are soon bitterly insulting each other, and eventually Haman storms out, vowing never to see Creon again. So Creon decides to spare Ismene, but rules that Antigone should be buried alive in a cave as punishment for her transgressions. She's brought out of the house, and of course she's screaming and she was bewailing her fate, but still vigorously defending her actions. And she's taken away from her living tomb to expressions of great sorrow by the chorus again. So let's go over it just one more time. So what happens from the beginning is that two brothers are fighting each other. We have Eteocles and Polynices. Both of them were fighting each other over the crown of Thebes, and Eteocles had refused to give up the crown as his brother and their father Oedipus had prescribed. So Creon, the ruler of Thebes, declared that Eteocles is to be honored, and Polynices, of course, is to be disgraced by leaving his body unburied. So Antigone gets bothered by that, and she actually defies the Creon's edict, and her sister Ismene refuses to help her, and she actually buries her brother's body. So Creon, of course, is very angry, and he's furious about what happened. He questions Antigone, and he questions his sister, her sister Ismene, and what happened was that Antigone does not deny any of the charges that she faced from Creon, and on the contrary, she argues that this is something immoral to do, to leave a body unburied in the middle of the battlefield. Of course, in the end, what happens is that Creon summoned her to death, and she was summoned to death by being put in a cave. Of course, and the entrance of the cave is going to be blocked so that she dies inside. So Creon decides later on to spare Ismene, but he rules that Antigone should be buried alive in a cave as punishment for her transgressions. So later on, the blind prophet Tiresias warns Creon that the gods side with Antigone, and that Creon will lose a child for his crimes of leaving Polynices unburied for punishing Antigone so harshly. So Tiresias warns that all of Greece will despise him, and that the sacrificial offerings of Thebes will not be accepted by gods, but Creon merely dismisses him as a corrupt old fool. So there's a warning from a prophet, and he's saying that Tiresias, the prophet's name is Tiresias, and he's warning Creon that the gods are standing alongside Antigone, so he's going to be punished. So anyways, Creon completely disregards and dismisses everything that is being told to him, so he just thinks of him as an old person who's just blabbering around. So, however, a terrified chorus beg Creon to reconsider, and eventually he consents to follow their advice and to free Antigone and to bury Polynices. So Creon, shaken by the prophet's warnings and the implications of his own actions, is contrite and looks to right his previous mistakes. So we're going to stop over here. This is the first part that we are going to study together, guys. So let's just go over it really quickly one more time. I've written them down in points. A war happened between Eteocles and Polynices. Both of them died in the war. They were brothers, and Eteocles was supposed to be crowned according to his father Oedipus. And so what happened was the Creon ruler of Thebes, he declared that Eteocles is to be honored and Polynices to be left unburied as a punishment for his actions, and then his sister Antigone vows to bury him and defy the Creon's edict, and her sister refuses to help, of course, in the middle. Her sister Ismene refuses to help. So what happens later on is that she actually buries her body. Creon gets furious about this. He questions Antigone and he questions Ismene. Antigone does not deny what happened, and Ismene sides with her sister, of course. and she decides to take full responsibility. And Creon's son, Haman, he tries to, join in. He completely agrees with his father, but then he gently tries to persuade him to change his mind about the punishment. And then Creon decides this is mean, but he rules that Antigone should be buried alive in a cave for her transgressions. Creon is warned he's warned by the blind prophet Tiresias, and he warns him that the gods are not standing by his side, the gods are standing by Antigone, and for this crime he's going to lose a child, and all of Greece is going to despise him or think of him in a very bad way. They're going to hate him basically so much. The chorus, they try to beg Creon to reconsider, and eventually he consents to follow their advice and to free Antigone and to bury Polynices. Creon, shaken now by the prophet's warnings and by the implications of his own actions, is contrite and looks to right his previous mistakes. So basically this is the summary of the first half of the play that we are going to be reading together and studying together. That's it for now, guys. Thank you so much.